Man, it has been a while. Just remember that I normally would put the chat room in the video so that people could see it later. I always feel like that removes my ability to have space for coding there. I'm not sure I'm going to do some echo in the audio. Awesome. Audio is always a problem, no matter what. Well, how can it even be a problem when it's coming through this? I can't even begin to understand why there would be an echo problem. All right, let me know if there's audio problem still. If we're good on that, then I'll get started talking about what we're doing in coding. There we go. It was capturing from both my headset and then whatever the onboard was. So fixed to now. All right. So what I was originally going to do was work on MarvelWatch. Last time I streamed, I was working on something where I can set it up to notify me when something new is coming into Marvel Unlimited, which is a online kind of comic subscription. You pay $80 a year and you have access to all their online comics. And I read a whole bunch of comics with my son, and so sometimes I want to say, well, we've read through the entirety of this particular thing. It'd be really nice if we could know when more are coming out. Yeah, the problem is I reached a point at the end of the last broadcast where I realized that one of the foundational things I was anticipating, which is the updated date on a given comic series, would change in the API once a new comic comes out. Turns out that wasn't true. I needed to refactor the whole thing from scratch. I sent out several emails to the Marvel API team and never got responses. So I wanted to pick it up today, and I went and looked at my notes and saw that that's where we ended. And I'm actually kind of frustrated because I haven't heard it back from them. And I don't really think that's super likely that we're going to. So I'll probably send out another ping their direction, but I'm not going to waste time kind of dealing with people who are not actually helping me use their API, essentially. So instead, what I'm going to do is I have been geeking around with SmartThings for a little while. SmartThings is one of the primary, I should have pulled this thing up, but it's one of the main home automation systems, and it's owned by Samsung. And the essential idea of a SmartThings, let me actually just pull it up real quick so we can SmartThings. So you get a SmartThings hub that you set up somewhere, and SmartThings. Let's see where their hub is. We'll look at what their yeah, is there buy SmartThings shop. You basically set up a hub somewhere in your house, and it looks kind of like that little square thing there. And the hub plugs directly into your Ethernet, and it speaks several kind of languages. Here you go. This is the hub right here. It speaks essentially several languages. One of the languages it speaks is Z-Wave, which is a format that a lot of smart automated, light bulbs and light switches and other stuff like that speak. So if you get a SmartThings hub, then all of a sudden it can control all of those things. And the SmartThings app essentially allows you to set up scenes and automations and timers and all this kind of stuff. And I can get into this at another time. I might write some tutorials about this. But one of the things that is pretty difficult is that when you are learning how to work with SmartThings, you end up basically in this SmartThings community thing, which is pretty hard to even find in the first place. Like, honestly, I don't even remember where the dang thing is right now. I think you have to log in and you have to go to a community thing. I think there's let me pull this thing up, community.smartthings.com. And here you go. And it's basically using this big discourse board. And when someone releases, for example, if they want to release that they have a particular piece of code that makes it possible for basically a driver for a particular SmartThings thing, or the two main things that people release three are tutorials, drivers, and essentially an app that you install in your SmartThings that maybe connects to one or more things. Like one app is randomize all your lights to make it look like you're at home so that you don't get home alone, essentially. So it's very difficult. This is not really the best platform for doing this. That's what they're called, SmartApps. This is not really the best platform for this. Announcing that you just released a new app in a Discourse thread and then changing it later and not knowing like whether a response, like you see this, you got tags like release candidate, release, updated, like these. This is not really the structure that is meant to be used for releasing software. And so if someone's like looking for the ability to smart, somebody wants to look up how to find, let's find something. If you want to find something for specific, here you go, publish SmartApps. You have to go to this other wiki, and as you can see, there's only 3 of them. It's not really kept up. Unpublished SmartApps. A lot of these are like links to Discourse threads, and then there's unofficially supported devices. A lot of these are also end up being links to Discourse threads, and this has to be manually maintained. And all it is just a series of links to Discourse threads that can often get out of date. It's a little bit of a mess, especially as someone who's trying to like get into this for the first time. I was just shocked by how unclear all this stuff is. So, all that context given, one of the things I had was ideas I had was, wouldn't it be a good idea if somebody built a software as a service for managing just that? And this service would basically make it really easy for new people to come on board, to find really good tutorials about this, to find smart apps for whatever they're interested in, to find the right drivers for the thing. It would have to have a list of the manufacturers and the devices. It'd have to have information about those devices and what format they speak and all this kind of stuff. And it would also need to have uh, like tags and searching, those kind of stuff. So what I ended up doing is basically I looked it up and I was like, oh, great, somebody has had this idea back in March of 2015, a smart app directory where you can list all these things together. They're describing essentially what I'm talking about. But what ended up really happening was a lot of people here said, sounds great, someone should build it. One guy was like, yeah, I'm going to build it. And turns out he worked for SmartThings. He doesn't anymore. He never built it. It's been many years. So I posted in a while back and said, is this still actually something people are interested in? This guy, JD Roberts, was really helpful. And he said, well, here's the wiki, but kind of ended up coming to the conclusion in the end that, yeah, well, here's the wiki, but honestly, it's really not that great. It would really be nice to have an app for this. So that's what we got right now. So, what I would normally do before I did one of these, because I didn't plan to work on this today. What I actually planned to work on today was the MarvelWatch. But I think that it would be perfectly fine to just sit down and kind of come up with a little bit of an idea of what we're working on here. I would have normally charged my my iPad Pro, and I'd be working on sketching out ideas there. So this is not my normal working space, but we're just going to start in code and see what happens. So first thing we're going to do is going to Lambo Smarter Things. That's the name I came up for it. I'm sure I'll get sued, but let's just see what happens. The one bummer with Lambo right now is it assumes that you can use your valet.dev URL and just instantly open it. It's not going to work because I have the updated version of Chrome, and Chrome is being very garbagey right now. So we're going to see it open in the browser, and then it's going to have an error because it's not going to work because, Chrome. What I have been doing these days is just, here you go, this is what you see. Your connection is not private. What I've been doing is, rather than dealing with like the whole .local or .host, I just Valley secure all of them. I don't know if I'll end up doing that a lot in the end, but that's what I do right now, because it honestly doesn't hurt me to have an HTTPS version locally. I think it just gets me in the mindset that, hey, everything should always be HTTPS. So meanwhile, I need to secretly, without you all seeing who all I have. Oh no, I can do this because it's already in the right one. I can go up and I'll add a database for Smarter Things. And then we need to think about essentially frame dump.text. Why are you going in MarvelWatch? No, we're not in MarvelWatch. We're in Smarter Things. All right, cool. So things this thing will need to do, we'll need to be able to, the simplest thing will be easy discovery and search of smart apps. Actually, really quick, I want to see if I can find the picture of the, what's it called? The SmartThings iOS app, so you can kind of get a sense for what we're working with here. That's not really that great. You can see a little bit there. So essentially what we're dealing with is you set up rooms in your house. Within each of those rooms, you connect things. And a thing might be a light bulb or a garage door opener or something like that. You can then use apps to do intelligent things. So there's some built-in stuff, scheduling, and if I press this smart light switch, turn on that light. Unless I press and hold it, in which case do this other thing. So that's the basics of it. But then with the apps, you can do things that are a little bit smarter. And so the two things that are not currently listed really well by SmartThings themselves are basically custom devices, like I was saying, like the drivers, and then the apps. And so, like I said, one example of the app ends up being something along the lines of, it's a thing that randomizes your lights when you're gone or something. I'm trying to see what else there is. They've got a formal marketplace for apps, but 90% of apps aren't in there. And so people, again, just use this Discourse thing. So here's one. Monitors motion sensors, and when people move around, turn on certain lights, right? So it's, stuff like that. Or detect what your routine is and start understanding based on motion sensors what your routines are, and then automate things in response to your routines. Or carpool notifier. Send notifications to your carpooling buddies when you get within certain distance of their house, because your phone sensor, stuff like that. So people are building all sorts of other smart things. Hey, how's it going? Yeah, if you're new, I normally try to talk back to the people in the chat, but I also normally keep the chat on the screen. But I just feel like I don't know if I'm going to do that this time, so we'll see. Okay, here we go. So smarterthings.dev is now up and functioning. We Lamboed it, so it's it's ready. We already have the database set up, and so we're ready to work. So I think the first thing I want to think about is, what are the entities? Yeah, I'm using .dev. I talked about it a second ago, but I'm just Valley securing everything for now. All right, so entities are, well, we're at least going to have manufacturers. We're going to have devices. We're going to have SmartApps. We're going to have, I forget what the term they uses, but what is essentially a drivers, or whatever the term is. So what this ends up being is, if a particular device works on the right frequency, even if SmartThings hasn't built a driver for it, you can basically have community-driven drivers that make it possible for you to attach those devices to SmartThings. Because SmartThings, it's not like SmartThings is like, you must speak SmartThings. As long as you are on one of these, like 3 or 2 or whatever, they're like Zigbee and what else? Zigbee and Z-Wave and one other one. So as long as they speak on those frequencies, they can theoretically be connected over to SmartThings, even if they're not yet. So we need apps, which are the actual does this functionality. Drivers, which is, even if it's not officially supported by SmartThings, we can do it. We've got devices, manufacturers. Maybe later we'll have like tutorials. We'll learn how to type at some point. I mean, obviously we have users, which will both be like able to rate, but also create things. Trying to think about what else this thing would need. Again, normally I would have showed up to the stream at this point with like all this thinking done and also some diagrams. But here's the simplest one. We'll actually build directly from a tweet. How about that? The first thing I would want is to be able to look at Wes Boss's tweet here. He said, testing out some of these new $6 Wi-Fi switches that you can splice into any electrical line. Apparently they're very hackable. So this thing right here, by the fact that it works with Nest and Google Assistant and Amazon Alexa, when you see those signs, that almost definitively guarantees you that it's speaking over one of those formats I was talking about, a Z-Wave or a Zigbee or something like that. So it's possible it only does Wi-Fi, but even so, it still is likely it's going to be able to. And so first thing you do in this world is you say, oh, I want to connect that thing. So he said, last time we spoke, you're moving house. Did I dream that? If so, I moved house a year and a half or 2 years ago and went very well. I don't know if that was back then or not. So, okay, what do we have here? We want SONOFF. So I type in SONOFF and then SmartThings. There you go. Look, first suggested Google result. And you look through this results here and you hope that somebody's going to talk about, oh, device handler. That's what they call them. Device handler. So has somebody built this? Well, turns out, look, Sonoff has a whole bunch of different things. One of which is like the normal Wemo style plug, but then this one right here is you actually like put this in line, like you actually cut a wire and stick it through this thing. And this is why I'm saying this is not a really good release format. Like, how do you know where to get started here? 2017, 010, 04, update. If it doesn't work, try this instead. Like, it's just this crazy world. And so what would be like a first simplest use case is like, Matt sees Wes's tweets about Sonoff. Visits smarterthings.com or co or whatever this is, types Sonoff into a search and then sees a Sonoff device handler in the results. That's like the simplest thing. Everything else can kind of go back from there. He's also asking, do I have a new baby? My daughter is, it's been a long, long, long time since I was streaming regularly. So I don't even know if there's an easy way to figure that out. So I moved and we had a new daughter. My daughter is 15 months, so she was born July of last year. So yeah, I probably haven't been streaming much since we had a new baby. So that would totally make sense. All right, so what does a device handler have on it? We can walk through this device handler and figure that out. So let's kind of get a little deeper into our device handlers. I realize this should not be text, but markdown. So we're talking about the device handler entity. So we need an author. We need I don't know if we need a title, because the title might just be the link to the so yeah, foreign key to user, which is the author. We need a title, maybe. We need a foreign key to the device. We need more than one piece of code. So there's going to be, I'm guessing it's going to be one to many. I don't think a piece of code would connect to other ones. So let's say too many, something like snippets or something like that. And a snippet would be basically like, for now we could just keep it as a gist. So like gist URL with some descriptive text and maybe a type. It's possible that every single device handler has like the device handler code and the SmartApp code. I'm not really sure. So it looks like screenshots is definitely going to be a thing. But interestingly, I don't know if screenshots or if it's just going to be like basically blog post. And then at least for starters, we're going to link it to the Discourse URL, because this is what people are actually using in the first place. And this is the hardest part, building an entire like blog authoring system in it versus just single entities with simple little properties. Theoretically, later there could be ratings, comments. Somehow we have to handle the ability for there to be like the initial information and then like updates over time. (1,013 replies. Good Lord. Glad the move in your newborn is all good. Glad to see you back online, buddy. Thank you very much, Lee. It's good to be back online. Although, honestly, it's a lot quieter in here than I remember. Not even in terms of the number of people who are chatting, but I mean, it's just, I don't think I remember just how much it is me sitting with static in the background, talking to myself. Um, it's funny because I used to do this and I also used to do the 5 Minute Geek Show a lot, and both of those are me talking and other people silently listening. I want people like talking along with me or something. That's probably why I used to put the chat in here. There's got to be a cleaner way to put the chat in here without it basically taking up all the space. Let me see something real quick. How easily can I pop out the chat? Put it over here. Oh, great. I popped out the chat and it just lost me the history. Somebody asked a question and all right, I'm going to try this real quick and just see what happens. All right, let's try that. Okay. Okay, so I think this is the basics of what we got here. I want to make sure what's the simplest? We have the simplest use case. So what things can we avoid building? What things do we have to build? Have to build to make the simplest use case. It'd be really cool if by the time I'm done streaming today, we got the simplest use case working. We have to build model migration for device handlers. We don't necessarily need users or devices. And we need to build basic search and device handler show page. Okay, so that's actually kind of manageable. See the brainstorm. This is good. Okay, good. Glad you like it. Like I said, normally I have this all done by the time I get to the stream. So, all right, let's get this out of the way and see what we got here. So that's our brain dump. So we're gonna do make model device handler migration. All right, and what does the device handler have on it? We just brainstormed that a little bit ago, which is dump, not brainstorm. All right, we definitely need a title. Here. It's been so long since I've written a migration. I've been spending the last few months working deeply in making unbelievable SDKs and wrappers around other people's bad APIs and stuff, and I have not actually just spun up a new just Laravel app for a while. Like it's so distant that I'm like, is it string? Is it text? I don't even know these things these days. Okay, so we can make author a string for now. We'll make it a foreign key later. Say table string author and then foreign key later. We're going to make a string, and this is probably going to be just, you probably can just basically infer from device later. We've got snippets, which we'll need to build. We've got the post. I don't even know how to do this post, so we're just going to basically do like this and kind of hope we can make it work. We're going to have a link to a Discourse URL. Hi, Francis Mori 7. Back learning Laravel. Yeah. So the text, this is not text, it's going to be string, and it's going to be Discourse URL. And then I guess that's it for now. If we're doing this search, we'll definitely end up needing to use Scout. So let's see how good I am at setting that up on the fly. And Is this model factory in a different place? See, I'm telling you that I've been in this. Oh my goodness. Is it moved in 5.5? Obviously, it's moved in 5.5. Does it not exist in 5.5? Someone help me out here. Where's model factory live in 5.5? I can't even do this because I'm pretty sure that Taylor made that go away yesterday. Good Lord. Generate one what? Do you generate model factories now? It doesn't come out of the box? This is how long it's been, I'm telling you. Oh, no, that's SmartThings, database factories, user factory. Oh, they split them out to multiple ones? Jeez. Are we still here? Factories are in separate files. Make factory. Jeez. Okay, make factory. And then I assume that I'll put factory at the end of the name just based on what I just saw. So I will do device handler factory. Let's try that. Wait, where'd my Sublime go? Okay. I must accidentally put it out in all my fumbling. All right, so let's try device handler factory. Jeez, this is so foreign. Why does device handler factory, so this generator, someone should do a pull request to make this generator right here actually suss out the entity I'm working on. You know, I bet you there's a parameter that you can pass to that that allows you to define like dash dash model equals device handler or something like that. Let's go learn, crew. All right, let's do model factory, using model factories, writing seeders. All right. No, not seeders. I want to make a writing factories. That's what we want. Okay. Take a look out of the box. How about how you make your own? Create models. Okay. Make factory artisan command. There you go. Check it out. Exactly what I expected. I love it when that happens. I love it when it does exactly what I'm expecting it to do, or it works exactly how I'm expecting it to work, that is. All right, how do I bring y'all back? This is terrible. There. Oh, you're back. New job for 3 months. Dash front. See, there you go. Y'all, this is why the delay is terrible, because I asked for the answer, but by the time you all can actually answer the question for me, I've fumbled around and found it on my own. Okay, so let's find where those go. Probably database factories. Yep. Let's delete this one and let's try it again, but pass in the model. All right, and then dash dash model equals device handler. This is more what I was expecting. So device handler factory. There we go. Life is good once again. Okay, so what are we going to factory in here? We're going to factory a title, I think, a title and an author, and a URL and a post. Okay, so user factory. I always do this. For some reason, I'm just lazy and don't like typing a lot. So, all right, so this is going to be author, is going to be faker name, title is going to be faker sentence. And then post is going to be faker paragraphs 2. That's not even Vim. What are you doing? This is Sublime Text with Vim mode on. I have, where is this? I've got Vim, I've got Sublime Text, I got PHP Storm, and I've got a new keyboard, all of which I'm still, years later, I never get good at one thing. I just keep switching around. The problem is my job these days is a lot less coding, and it's a lot more like telling other people what to code, doing like architecture and planning and that kind of stuff. And so I don't actually get to sit in front of a keyboard and just write the code a lot. I'm reading other people's code. I'm teaching them how to code. I'm not actually like typing the thing. And so I don't get to have this practice. VS Code. Sorry, Caleb. Okay. Author, faker name, title, post. What else do we have here? Author, title, device. I don't think we're going to care about right now. These relationships we'll set up later. Blog posts, Discourse URL. Discourse URL, and then this is going to be, I think there's a fake URL. Hopefully that'll work. Okay. Why can't I hear you? I don't know. I think everybody else can hear me just fine, so I'm going to blame you. Where's PHP Storm? PHP Storm's down here. I would love to update Laravel up and running for Laravel 5.5. I actually started it. It just turns out that having a new kid sucks all of your free time, turns out. And it was very good that I was able to write the book while my son was old enough and my daughter was not born that I could actually like have free time. And I've set up the decision to upgrade the book a whole bunch of times, and each time I just can't pull it off. So hopefully, yes. I just got to make it work. So I'm not going to like ruin my family life for the sake of updating the book. But if I can make it work as my daughter starts sleeping again, stuff like that, then yes, 100%. Use it then, man. PMSL. No. PHP Storm is slower than Sublime Text for me until I kind of get back into it. I literally just installed it a couple weeks ago. And it's been so long since I've used it that I'm not fast anymore. Okay, where are we? We have a factory for our device handler. So we're going to set up a seeder for them so we can get a couple device handlers in there. So has everything about seeding changed too? Let's go about database seeder.php and call. Okay, so this is a little bit more of this. Actually, you know what? I don't actually care. Factory device handler. I told you this keyboard is killing me. Create. Storm is great, but if you have not used Storm for a long time, Storm is not great. That is my current situation. It also is not great if you have a very, very, very slow computer. Well, actually, it's not great if you don't have a friggin' iMac. I finally have an iMac, which is why I'm considering switching back to Storm. But on my MacBook Pro, it was so slow. I fell in love with Storm and all the things it provided, and it was just so slow I switched back to Sublime Text. Thank you for the congratulations. Okay, back to this. So we're creating some device handlers, and let's just make sure this actually all works. Of course, because we got to use it. I don't have my keyboard shortcuts set up right yet. Rate of string conversion. What did I do wrong? Probably the paragraphs. Do you have to insert in device handlers, author, title, post, discourse, URL, update it, create it, author, blah, blah. I think it's the paragraphs issue. So, hey, Chris Pitt, what's up, man? All right, so let's go look at our factory, and I feel like it's something about paragraphs where I'm just forgetting how that works, and it probably gives us, there you go. I think paragraphs gives you an array, and so you need to join it, and I'm just feeling too lazy for that right now. So where's my SQL Pro? Don't y'all look at all my connection names are. SmartThings back in here. All right, here we go. All right, so we have a device handler by Professor Grady McGlynn with a title and text, discourse URL created at update. Great. So the next thing we want to do is make the simplest possible format for someone to come in and search for the thing. So I'm going to yeah. Man of your intelligence should pick that back up a minute to the Christopher. Y'all have a vastly overestimated ability or concept of how much time I actually spend coding. That's the thing. Okay. Log in to register. Have I already made auth? So you don't have to make auth anymore? Look at all these. Oh, no. It's because I use Lambo and I have this all set up to happen. So here's the trick. I'm going to use Vim mode in whatever editor I use, so I don't have to use Vim as my primary editor. Okay, so right now I don't actually care about this. What I really want to do is set up a search on the home page that gets me to a list page of search results. So I'm trying to remember if there's a way to use a simple local dev driver. Can you database back Scout, or do you have to set it up? Do I basically have to go the whole way through setting up Algolia? Nope, yeah, it only ships with Algolia. So I feel like getting Algolia all set up correctly and getting Scout installed could end up being really slow. So I think I'm going to build, not really slow, but like relative to the short amount of time I have left. So I think what I'm instead going to do is just build a super simple database query that I'll then replace with Scout a little bit later. So let's build this thing out. So we want we've already got our views for what the actual app is going to be built like. At this point, this is when I wish that there was a front end preset for Tailwind, but again, I'm just not going to worry about that right now. We're going to go for speed. Laravel Scout MySQL driver, yeah, but then I'd have to learn it, so it's not worth it right now. I'm sure it's Scout itself in setting up Algoy is not really that tough, but it's just like when I'm streaming, I try not to waste time with fumbling around getting third-party services set up, essentially. So, all right, so we have our basic layout here, and as always, the welcome page does not use the basic layout, so I'm just going to drop this welcome page and replace it with one. Actually, I'll just do this. That is basically just the home page, a little bit different data. And so what we can do here is we can say something along the lines of search for device handlers, because this is all we're going to do right now. There you go. Somebody's got a front-end preset for Tailwind. Again, it'd be great, but I'm not going to do it for speed right now. So, all right, session status. I'm not worried about that right now. We're just going to say basically, oh, you know what the heck, we'll do it. So search. So this is going to basically be like a text input. Oops. For those of you who weren't around when this happened, I switched to this keyboard. It feels like 6 or 9 months ago, but I still just don't code enough that I'm actually really good with it yet. So, all right, the name equals device handler search, I guess. I don't know. And then for now, we'll just wrap it in a form. We'll do, I think I can't remember if CSRF is in there, so I'm just gonna do this. And I don't want token, I want field, don't I? And then I think hitting enter will just submit this thing, although I'm probably not so lucky. I actually don't mind if we use get, and then this will be route search, I guess. Let's just try that. Invalid route action search controller, right. Did it already make it, or did it quit out in the middle of making it? All right, so what do we want? We want to get the term equals request. Obviously, this isn't what it's going to end up being in the end, but we're literally just pulling this thing right now. You know, it's not actually necessarily device handler search, because it's just going to be a global search in the end, right? So let's just do search, and then we'll pull out the search, and then we'll say, for now, we'll just say, since we're just getting device handlers, just say return, and obviously it's going to return JSON for now, device handler where, I think it's where like, and then we want to do this, and that'll basically just search for it in the title. Gosh, how do you do this? Like something like this. I think that's how it's going to work. So we're basically just going to say, if this term exists in the title anywhere, then get it. I think that's the basic thing we're going to do right now. So in theory, if I'm remembering all the steps, we're going to go to this view. I think you can hit enter. I'm not sure if you can hit enter. Let's just do a submit button for now. All right, so you go to this form, you type in the search. It is going to put the CSRF field in the get, but oh well, that's life. It's going to send it over to this route. Goes to the search controller, which invokes and it pulls the search term out, gives us all the device handlers where, I think that's where like, we'll see if that actually works, where that's in the title, and then we get it. Let's go try, see what we get. All right, so what is the name of ours? It's named Provident. Let's just search for, oh, Molestier, thanks. Let's drop that one out, just for fun. All right, so we want to search for Provident. and it submits. And okay, is it because I did target and it's supposed to be action? I bet that's what it is. I always do this. Action. I didn't even know you could do that to set a target that opens it up in a different window. Look at all these new things we're learning. Provident, submit. All right, HD device handlers not found because I didn't find and use. So one of the fun things about this keyboard is that the F bar, the F things are meant to be programmed. It has like all this programmability. But if you program it for media keys, it actually makes it really difficult to use the F keys for what they're originally intended for. And so all of like the basic, like both in Storm and Sublime Text, all the like use F1 to auto import don't work right now. And I've emailed the manufacturer of the keyboard, Kinesis, several times and still have not been able to work with them to figure out how to fix that. So yeah. Well, I decided not to do post because at least for now, I'd like to have it in the URL so it's a returnable search. It's called the Kinesis Advantage 2. And then action, I mistyped action as target just because my brain doesn't work. All right, so what were we? Provident. Okay, new problem. Column not found, like. Okay, so where like is not it. So let's do Laravel where like. I don't actually remember what the, if you would like. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, because where like, so when you do where camel case like this, what it does is it assumes that this is the name of your column that you're searching, which is not what we want. So instead, we're using the fact where if you pass 3 parameters, the middle parameter is used instead of equals. So if you want a programmable keyboard, okay, cool. You guys can talk about that while I, there we go. Okay, so now let's pass in. So here's the reason I used get. I want to be able to say search equals provident. The problem is I don't want this token here. For now, we're just going to disable the CSRF validation. What is it called? Disable CSRF. It's a middleware, but I don't remember exactly where you verify CSRF, and then you can say accept. So we're going to say search. And then now we can drop the CSRF token out of here, and now it looks a lot cleaner when we search for provident here. There we go. Search, question mark, search equals provident. That's a little bit weird. I might want to change it to term, I guess. Or I could use, what does Google use? I think they use Q. I'm just going to use Q because it makes me feel cool. Provident. The problem with this chat window is when I full screen, I can't see what any of y'all are saying. Too late, Lee. Too late, Win78. Those are all very helpful things if there was not a lag in the chat. All right, cool. So we now have a simple Laravel application. Oh, let's go to config app and at least change our app name to Smarter Things. I think that's good enough for now. Okay, cool. Smarter Things. Search for device handler. All right. So what's next? I think the next is to git commit basic search with JSON results. And you know what? I want to push these things up. GitHub, real quick. I'm going to set up a repo and push it up there. It's weird. I actually thought I had created this already, but obviously I did not. I think what I did was buy a domain name, which I do all the time, which is well, this is a web app for managing SmartThings, apps, device handlers, and more. You could have done request only queue and leave CSRF. But that's not the problem. The problem is that it's sitting there in the URL, right? So let's push it up. Here we go. Okay. So next thing I would like to do is make it so that the page that comes back, which is provident, is not just JSON. So let's make a view, make a new view called results.blade .php. And it's basically going to be the same as the home page, except it's going to say search results for term, and then, you know, basically we probably have to pass our term in. We'll probably want to like strong the term. No, you can't. So if you do request only queue, you've already visited the URL. So like if I were to go here, like by the time I hit this ugly URL, the URL is already there, like and, you know, token equals whatever. All that request only queue does is say, if I want an array of the things that are coming out of the request, only give me those. And it doesn't matter because I'm not even using that anyway. I'm actually pulling a specific key out. So using a request only would not have stripped this out of the URL and then rerouted me or something like that. So what you could have done, and I've actually done this before, is you do a post, and then that post sends you over to another URL. But at that point, what's the point? Because the only point of CSRF is making it impossible for somebody else to come along and do the same thing. But if they can do it through the query, you know, parameter, then it's really, you know, it's very unlikely that that's going to be a concern. So I just looked on Twitter, and everybody's assuming that I have a iMac Pro, which I certainly do not. All right, so what are we doing here? So we'll pull this out for now. If we're going to do that, we'll do it in lots of places. All right, so this is going to be our search results. So it's going to be for each results as, actually we're going to do a for, wait, what's the for each with an empty as a result? Anybody know? There's the for else, but that's for else is not the one I'm talking about now. I realize that what I actually want is the one where it's a single method that, feel free to file a PR. Yeah. A single method where you just pass in the view names in the for each. I can't remember what that one is off the top of my head. Is it at each maybe? That's what it is. You know, I don't actually need that right now. Let's just do for else. And I think for else is a for each, but then you've got an empty that comes after it. So that would be empty and for else. This would be basically like no results. And this would be like for else results as result. And then these ones are all device handlers. So it would be very simple to link this one. It's just going to be basically a internet equals. So it's going to be, obviously, once you have more than one result, you'd end up, you know, doing a diff view where depending on the type of result you get, you'd get a different display here, usually a different like component, blade component. But it doesn't matter right now. So we're going to do some aspirational programming, which we're going to say route, and then we're going to say device handlers.show. And then we're just going to basically pass in the handler. And so obviously we need that to exist now. God, it's been so long. Device handlers dot, I think is what it ends up being. And then you say, gosh, what's the one for the URL? Stuff has all escaped my brain. Prefix, is it? Route prefix, I think so. I'm just going to write prefix, and then you all will tell me 15 seconds later once it finally catches up. Let's say the URL for now is just going to be, I kind of want to just call it handlers because I hate having, you know, compound words, but handlers doesn't make nearly as much sense. So for now, I'm just going to do this and hate myself a little bit. All right, so what do we have? We're going to have a show. Prefix, like I said, you guys are going to tell me 15 seconds later. Route, get, you're going to love that. And so what's this going to be? This is going to be, this is going to be the device ID, I guess. And it's going to be device handler controller at show. And it's going to be name show. I think that's how it works. Yeah. Catch up. The lag that is introduced by Twitch is just unbearable. I don't understand how they get away with it. All right, so art make controller device handler controller, and then device handler controller is going to have a show method which passes in the ID, but I'm actually going to say device handler handler. And then I have to do this because I don't have my keyboard shortcut set up right. And then we'll return handler. Let's see it as some JSON. You can adjust. No, they theoretically have the ability to adjust the lag. There's a feature that says there's a beta feature that allows you to turn off your lag, but it doesn't work for me at least. So, all right. So I lost where I was. Maybe it's is it done? I don't know. Oh, let's just look. Provident submit. Nope, that's part I need to do, which is the results controller, I think. Search controller. Instead of this, I need to return view, which is going to be results with results, and then that's going to be this right here. Right? Sure, let's try it, see how it works. And find a variable term. Right, because it's search results return provident beta, blah, 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 blah. What's that? Well, I made a mistake in that view somewhere. Device handler /1. Okay, that's good, but then it's not actually correctly returning back the thing. So device handler controller, return handler. Is it not looking it up correctly? Oh, right. No, wait, why is that not working? It's just giving me an instance of handler instead of route model binding it. Oh, do you have to do this? Is that how it works? I think that's what it ends up being. So instead of ID, this would have to be handler. And then it matches the variable name. There we go. That's what it was. Okay, cool. There we go. So you can look up your device handler by the ID. Probably would be something where the URL structure would be better to not be device handler /ID. And some people might say UUID, but I think what I would rather is something along the lines of like smarterthings.dev / that's a good, what would the good URL structure be? Better later URL structure, maybe something along the lines of like /Samsung. Wait, what was the West Boss tweet? Let's see what the name of their thing was. It's called a Sonoff Basic. So maybe something like Sonoff /basic/ that only works for handlers, right? So it would need to be doing this. Device handlers /Sonoff /basic, I guess would be what it would be. Because a smart app wouldn't be, smart apps aren't scoped to specific devices. So this would be SmartApps / I kind of want to do this, I think. I just hate compound words, but I think we're stuck with it. The interesting thing is SmartApps is actually spelled SmartApps. So I'd also have to figure out how I wanted to handle that. But for now, let's say this. So SmartApps / and then app name slugged, basically. So the problem is we can't do this right now because we don't have the brand. So we're just going to keep it like this. But I will at least do device -handlers instead of device handlers. Why is it not? Oh, I changed the name and I wanted to change the prefix. All right, so device handler /1. Okay, great. So we now have the basic information. I think that I'm going to make a basic show page for that, and then I'm going to cut because I'm getting a whole bunch of phone calls that I think I need to handle right now. So we're not going to get 2 hours of streaming, which sucks. My hope is actually that by next time I stream, which hopefully will be not in a year and a half, I will have solved the issue of the Marvel thing, because I really want to finish that Marvel thing because I'm in the middle of a whole bunch of series with my son that I have not been able to keep up on. So let's see. But for right now, let's get a view for this real quick. So what have we done here? We've basically set up basic show route for device handler. Okay. So the last thing we're doing is, instead of having it return JSON, we're going to return view device handlers dot show with device handler as handler. See, as you can tell, I'm not even being consistent with my my variable naming. I want to call it a handler. We're going to do this. I might regret this. Look at this. Tell me to commit 15 seconds late because of that lag. Views, handlers. Nope. Show. Grab our buddy here. Basic stuff. And then what's the information we're actually tracking about our handlers again? Handler table. So just basic list stuff here, like by keyboards are hard. So we got the author, we got the title. I guess we can like link the discourse. Thread, I guess it's called. And the post, I guess, goes down here. Which obviously we haven't handled all right now. Gosh darn it. And that's it. All right, title, by whom, link to the discourse thread, and then the post. There we go. Let's dash. See you later, Lee. Have a great Christmas to you too. Okay, cool. So I think we are done for now. It's been an hour, and can we do the simplest use case? Matt sees Wes's tweet about Sonoff, visits smarterthings.co, types Sonoff into a search, sees a Sonoff device handler in the results. I mean, yeah, that's actually, we actually went one step further and can actually click on it and see the basic information about it. So in theory, this could do enough to make a single person be able to search the title for all of the device handlers, see a list of all the device handlers, click through to one, and get that stuff. So the simplest possible use case, I could actually go import the Sonoff one into here. Obviously, it'd be super limited. We didn't build out the gist, so you can't actually embed the code, although you could just put gist URLs in there. You can't actually put images in the blog post right now. There's no formatting the blog post. I mean, it's obviously not really functional, but it does like the core need. So I think that the next step I would do from here, actually, let's write this down. I always wish I had written the next steps. Next steps are fix URL structure, and then write tests. There'll be really simple tests, just if I search, I get this. Install Scout and use it for search. Add code, or snippets is what I'm calling it. I think we would need to add manufacturers and devices so that we can get that URL structure actually working. And we can keep the author as just a string for now. I think that's what I would do next. So that is it. Okay, phone call after phone call after phone call. I gotta go. I gotta see what's going on. So thank you all for tuning in, and I'll see you all next time.